The Thing About Spring by Daniel Kirk. The world looks a little different today, Mouse said one bright morning. It smells different too, said Bird. There are buds on the trees and new colors in the sky, and I feel warm and happy. Me too, said Mouse. Spring is finally here. Hooray! Mouse and Bird hurried to share the good news with their friends. Rabbit was in the meadow, busy with a shovel and pail. "What are you doing, Rabbit?" Mouse called. "Saving snow while I still can," Rabbit grumbled. "We won't see any more of this until next year." "But spring is coming," Bird chirped. "Aren't you excited?" "Excited," said Rabbit. "Ha! The thing about spring is that I won't be able to follow my friends' tracks in the snow. Then I won't be able to find them." "But now you won't be cold," said Bird, "and you won't have to look for me. I'll be right beside you." "Me too," said Mouse. "The thing about spring," said Rabbit, "is that I won't be able to make snow bunnies anymore. I won't be able to build snow forts either. You know how much fun I have doing that." "And I won't be able to make snowballs to throw at my favorite targets." "But little shoots will grow out of the ground," Mouse said, "so you won't have to look far to find delicious things to eat." "The thing about spring," said Rabbit, "is that Bear is waking up. You know how bad he smells at the end of a long winter, and I'm sure he's going to want a hug." "Oh, Rabbit," said Bear with a yawn, "just because I'm a little stinky doesn't mean we can't share a big hug." "I want a hug too," said Bird. "Me three," said Mouse. "The thing about spring," said Rabbit, "is that it rains when you're not expecting it." "But rain brings out the flowers," said Mouse. "And the worms," said Bird. "And it makes you clean," said Bear, and ready for more hugs. "The thing about spring," said Rabbit, "is that when the days get longer, the nights get shorter, and I am a little cranky bunny when I don't get enough sleep. But in the spring we need more daytime because there are so many things to do," said Bird. "In the spring I love to make loop-de-loops and race the clouds to the sky," said Bird. "In the spring I love to nibble tasty buds and dig tunnels in the soft pine needles," said Mouse. "In the spring I love to splash in the lake and dance in the sun," said Bear. "Spring is wonderful." "The thing about spring," said Rabbit, "is that all the animals chatter on, and the racket hurts my ears." "I'll try to be more quiet," whispered Bird. Me too, whispered Mouse. Me three, whispered Bear. But it's hard not to make a little noise. When spring is here. All right, Rabbit sighed. I suppose no one can stop the seasons from changing. But the thing about spring is that when I stomp around so much and the sun is so warm, it makes me really thirsty. Me too, said Bear. I think we're all a little thirsty. Well then, said Rabbit, you should be glad I saved some snow. Look inside my pail. The thing about spring is that it's full of surprises. It's wonderful, Bird chirped. Now that spring is here, the snow has turned to water. It's like the winter gave us a present before it went away, said Mouse. I found some cups, Rabbit said. Dip in. It will be our last taste of winter. And our first sip of spring, said Bird. Here's to spring, said Bear. I think it's going to be great. Me too, said Bird. Me three, said Mouse. The friends looked at Rabbit. Oh, all right, he said. Me four. Spring is here. Hooray! The end. I am spring. I am spring. After the cold of winter, I'm the season when the sun starts to slowly warm the land and everything begins to grow again. Flowers open and show their bright colors. Animals and insects come out of hiding, and new life is born into the world. One way that people can tell it's the first day of spring is that the light of day lasts as long as the dark of night. This is called the spring equinox. During spring, each day the sun rises a little earlier and sets a little later in the afternoon, making the days longer and brighter. Brighter weather means the dirt is warmer, so seeds sprout and push their way up toward the sun. Spring is one of the growing seasons when seeds grow into vegetables that can be picked and eaten. High up in the sky, when warm spring air mixes with cold ocean air, it can cause bursts of rain showers, watering the land and helping things to grow. Bees and other insects come out of hiding and visit flowers for a sip of sweet nectar and a bite of pollen. Many birds that flew away to avoid the cold winter return for the warm sunshine of spring skies. When birds travel to far off places for better weather and more food, scientists call this migration. As spring warms the land, the sound of birdsong fills the air. Birds chirp, tweet, and trill, calling out to meet one another and to claim the areas they want to live. Spring is also the time for building nests and laying eggs. While birds are up high, frogs and toads are down low, laying eggs in ponds, under leaves, and sometimes even carrying eggs around on their backs. There's plenty to eat in the warmth of spring. Spring sunshine and the smell of growing foods wake up sleepy animals that rest during the cold months. With the warm sun and lots of food, spring is the perfect season for babies to grow. Bare branches on trees begin to sprout new leaves, and some will also grow blossoms. Blossom is another way of saying flower. A gentle spring breeze moving through blossoming branches can make it feel like it's raining flowers. Plants, like trees, are very helpful with keeping the air clean. They remove pollution through their leaves and catch dust and other floating particles on their branches and bark. With all the new growth in spring, there are lots of plants to clean the air. One way that people help to keep the air clean is by planting new trees and taking care of the plants that are already here. When the day becomes longer than the night and the leaves begin to sprout on the bare branches, the bugs and animals that were hiding start to reappear. Get ready, because that means spring is here. Wake Up, It's Spring by Lisa Campbell Ernst. The winter was long and cold. Then early one morning the sun rose and warmed the earth. Wake up, old friend, it's spring, whispered the sun. And the warmed earth woke up. The earth basked in the sun's glow, then nudged its guest, the earthworms. Time to wake up, spring is here. And the earthworm woke up. The worm wiggled in the warm earth and sang to its neighbor, the seed. Spring is here, rise and shine. And the seed woke up. The seed sprouted and grew out of the earth. It called to the sleeping ladybug, wake up, spread your wings, it's spring. And the ladybug woke up. The ladybug laughed in the sunshine. It tickled the rabbit's ear as it whispered, Psst, rabbit, spring is here. And the rabbit woke up. The rabbit twitched his nose to smell the spring air. He thumped to the bird up in her nest. Out of bed, sleepyhead, it's spring. And the bird woke up. The bird soared from above and flew past the sleeping cat. Wake up, furry friend, the bird chirped. Spring is here. And the cat woke up. The cat stretched her legs and rubbed past the sleeping dog. Time to get up, she yawned. It's spring. And the dog woke up. The dog frisked and jumped and barked into the baby's room. Wake up, it's spring, cheered the dog. And the baby woke up. The baby stood in her crib with a laugh and shouted to her brother and sister, out, out, spring. And the brother and sister woke up. They picked up the baby and ran to their parents' room, jumped on the bed and shouted, wake up, open your eyes. Spring is here at last. And the parents woke up, one eye at a time. And they all ran to dance together in the sun. The parents, the brother and sister, the baby and the dog and the cat and the bird and the rabbit and the ladybug and the seed and the worm and all the earth. because it was spring. Who's awake in springtime? Phillis, Gershator, and Mim Green. Down, down goes the sun, and down in the sea, fish find a safe place to hide. Who's asleep? Not I, said the minnow. In a pond by the sea, ducks tuck their heads under their wings. Who's asleep? Not I, says the duckling. In the tall green grass near the pond by the sea, turtles pull their heads and tails into their shells. Who's asleep? Not I, says the little turtle. In a garden near the grass, near the pond by the sea, bees buzz home. Who's asleep? Not I, says the busy bee. In the branches of a leafy tree, near the garden, near the grass, near the pond by the sea, birds nestle in their nests. Who's asleep? Not I, says the baby jay. In a patch of clover near the leafy tree, near the garden, near the grass, near the pond by the sea, cats curl up and close their eyes. Who's asleep? Not I, says the kitten. In a bush near the clover, near the leafy tree, near the garden, near the grass, near the pond by the sea, caterpillars spin their silken beds. Who's asleep? Not I, says the small green caterpillar. Over in the meadow where wild flowers grow, up, up comes the moon and down below. Near the bush, near the clover, near the leafy tree, near the garden, near the grass, near the pond by the sea, sheep huddle and cuddle in their warm wool coats. Who's asleep? Not I, says the lamb. Not I, the sheep all say, not I, we like to play. Sheep follow sheep, jumping high, jumping low. Sheep follow sheep, now where did they go? To sleep, the sheep went to sleep. Then who's awake? Not the sheep, not the caterpillars, not the cats, not the birds in the leafy tree, not the bees, not the turtles, not the ducks, not the fish down in the sea. Is anyone awake? I am. Then come jump into bed, my sweet little lamb. Wake Me in Spring by James Preller. Mouse looked out from his hole and said, "It's getting cold." He shivered. Bear scratched his belly and yawned. "Yes," said Bear, "I feel winter in my bones." Bear looked at the calendar. "Time for bed," he said. "I'm so tired, I will surely sleep all winter long." "But Bear," Mouse cried, "you'll miss winter." Bear yawned and said, "I'm so sleepy, I don't care." Mouse waved his arms. "You will miss sleigh rides in the snow," said Mouse. Bear rubbed his eyes and said, "I'm so sleepy, I don't care." "You will miss hot chocolate in steaming cups," said Mouse. Bear pulled the curtains. "I don't care," he said. "You will miss ice skates on frozen lakes," said Mouse. Bear locked the front door and said, "I don't care." "You will miss snowmen with carrot noses," cried Mouse. Bear only sighed and said, "I don't care." Mouse didn't say a word. Finally, in a sad, soft voice, Mouse said, "And I will miss you." Bear looked into Mouse's watery eyes. Bear said, "Mouse, I will not miss sleigh rides in the snow, hot chocolate in steaming cups, ice skates on frozen lakes, or even snowmen with carrot noses." "But I will miss you. I will miss you very much." Bear bent down and gave his friend the kind of hug that bears give best. A hug that lasts all winter. "My little friend," Bear explained, "please understand, a bear needs to sleep all winter long." Mouse sniffed and blew his nose. Ker-honk. Bear brushed his teeth and said, "Mouse, I feel winter in my bones. Please wake me in spring when flowers bloom and birds sing." Mouse tucked Bear into bed and whispered, "Good night, Bear. Sleep tight. I'll see you in spring when flowers bloom."